so many people come to us and their biggest misconception is, well, I've got a course. I'll just put it in and charge monthly for it. I'm like, no, you just created a payment plan that people are going to bail on halfway through.
Right.
So we really focus, I'd say 75% of our actual effort is in fostering community, because if people have friends, they don't want to leave the community. If they know you are there for them, they don't want to leave the community. So like what do you think about building and cementing community in your membership? And like, is there anything you guys do that you especially have found, successful in making the people? I think the turning point in any successful membership is when your members start relying on each other. That's what our community does, man. Someone will ask a question, and before I can even log in, there's 12 people that have answered. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When that happens, your membership can last forever. Like, how do you guys foster community?
Well, I agree with you. And for years, I've been saying people come for the content, but they stay for the community.
I have said that so many times. I think we're reading each other's minds. It's amazing.
But that community fostering component happens the very moment that somebody completes their transaction to join the membership. And so what I would encourage everybody to do is to think right from the get-go, like what happens on that thank you page. The thank you page is one of the most important pieces of virtual real estate, because it sets the tone for the experience that they're about to have. So they've just completed their purchase and they're thinking like, am I like an idiot for doing this? Am I the only one that has joined this membership? Like they're a little bit hesitant right now. So on that thank you page, what I'd love to encourage everybody to do is to have a very awesome video that pulls in people within your community to immediately help people see like they're not alone. And this is like a community of people just like them. So the thank you page is really important. And we actually pour a lot of energy into our thank you page videos. We use it as a way to immediately see the culture of who we are and our values, and that we don't take ourselves too lightly. We have a lot of fun and all that kind of stuff. And in fact, what's kind of interesting is that our thank you page videos have actually become renowned, where when we're on a webinar, this happened last year, we were on a webinar in the midst of a promotion, and somebody in the comments is like, oh my goodness, I just joined. You guys got to join just to see the thank you video. Like
that's amazing. That's awesome.
So I do think that that's really important. But then here's the real focus. What you do from an experience standpoint in that first 24 hours and in that first 7 days essentially establishes the tone for that member forever. And so one of the things that we really focus on is getting them immersed in the community as quickly as possible. So I'll give you a couple tactical things. One is that we actually went to our existing members and said, would any of you be open to joining a welcoming committee? So that when new members come in and they do something that I'm going to share with you in a minute, your role is essentially to welcome them. Just kind of like, imagine somebody like is coming to a dinner party and, they ring the doorbell, and instead of like helping themselves just come on into the house, there's somebody there saying, oh, welcome. Hey, Shane, come on in. Hey, listen, can I get you a drink? Like, hey, actually, let me introduce you to this person and that person. So it's a welcoming committee. And that's their role. That's their role, is to, welcome people, make them feel great. The second thing is that we always have clear next steps for people when they first join. So one of the very first steps is for them to introduce themselves to the community. Now, this is always a very awkward thing, because if you were to say, okay, Stu, introduce yourself to the group. Nobody wants to come into the group and say, hey, my name is Stu, and here's why I'm awesome. I'm awesome because of awesome reason number one, and awesome. Nobody wants to do that, right? So this is why, like, when you ask somebody to just introduce themselves, it's always awkward. People don't know how to do it. So how do you remove that awkwardness? Well, you give them a template and you say, just answer these 3 questions. And the questions are questions that are going to create connection to other people in your community. You want to create connection points. So for example, here's a couple examples of connection points. I was born in England. So when people hear that, all the Brits are like, oh, he's one of us. Or that I live in Canada. And so as soon as the Canadians hear, they're like, oh, he's one of us. Right. Or like if I say, I love driving my Mini Cooper. All the Mini Cooper enthusiasts are like, oh, yes. Or if I say that I played sports at a really high level, like we won 2 national championships when I was in college, all the athletes are there. Or if I say that we have adopted our son from South Africa, all the adoptive parents or people who have been adopted, all, there's a connection there. And so these are what are called connection points. And when you are setting your people up to introduce themselves to the community, ask questions that are going to pull out those connection points, because then that begins to form the relationships with others in the community. And if they can form relationships with others right away and start dialogue, those relationships are the very thing that's going to set the tone from that point forward. And so then it's not just about the content. Now it is about the community, and people are connected, not just to you, but to each other. And when that happens, that's when they're going to stay a lot longer.
Yeah, that's amazing, dude. We discovered too another tactical thing that we do. So one of the first things that we ask people to do, so like we have this little thing, we have like a widget in the sidebar, and it shows everybody that's logged in, right? Mm-hmm. So there's always like 20 or 30 people sitting over there. You can see their faces. But when we first started, it was little gray heads. There's those little avatar heads, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, what would be even easier than introducing themselves? What if they just uploaded a picture of their family? Mm-hmm. And we said, hey, the first thing we send out is, hey, here's your profile. Here's how to upload your picture. That's all you got to do. And like, because people want to brag about their kids and they want to show them off their spouse and they want to put their own selfie up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we started getting people to do that. And we asked specifically though, we say, put a picture of your family. Because we want to see, because we're a really family focused brand. And we want, hey, that person's got kids my kid's age. Like that picture tells 1,000 words. You know what I mean?
It's a connection point.
It's a connection point, right? And then the next thing we figured out was, people don't necessarily, they didn't want to introduce themselves for that same reason, but I'm going to steal that. And I'm going to go through those questions and I'm going to redo that. But they always have a question. Everybody always has a question. And so the second thing we ask people to do is to ask a question. But here's what happens. It's on a form. It's not in the forums. It's not anywhere else. It's just, hey, ask us a question. Ask us a question. But then our team will reach back out to them and say, this is an amazing question, and here's your answer. Would you mind if we posted this and got some more feedback from the community in the forums? So we kind of do their first post for them. We tag them in it. You see what I'm saying? So we kind of bridge that. I think bridging the awkwardness is what we're both saying here.
Yeah.
And once the awkwardness is gone, it's like going over to somebody at a party and you're like, let me introduce you to a few people.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
That's the feeling you got to give for people to do it.
And when you're asking the questions, like I was saying, using that template, ask a question like, what brought you to join this community, or what are you hoping to get out of this community, or what is your number one challenge with whatever the focus of the community is. And same sort of thing, getting them to share what they're asking about. And then one of the prompts that we give our welcoming committee is to specifically tag somebody else in the community that can answer that question, so that the dependency is not like, okay, Stu is going to come up with all the answers, or Shane's going to come up with all the answers, or whatever it may be. No. Like, we want the community, just like you said, responding first. And so part of that welcoming committee is they have a sense of, who in the community specializes in different things, or has experience with different things, or can help out in different ways. And so when they're tagging the other people, now there's multiple people who are dialoguing with that new member. And then that's when like that whole connection starts to really take shape.